Welcome to Arole Baba 1010 TV.
You ever stop and wonder what a single day can really tell us about the state of the world? I mean, really tell us? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're taking a snapshot of the global headlines from just one day, September 6th, 2025, to try and piece together the bigger picture. We're talking competing stories, shared experiences, all of it happening at once. So let's dive in and see what that picture actually looks like. Okay, so right off the bat, think about this. On this one single day, you've got two incredibly powerful realities happening at the exact same time. On one hand, you have a devastating humanitarian crisis in northeast Nigeria. We're talking about 600,000 children on the very brink of starvation. And then, at the same moment, more than 7 billion of us, that's almost the entire planet, are getting ready to look up at the sky for a rare lunar eclipse. It's this incredible, almost jarring contrast that really defines our world, and that's what we're going to dig into right now. So let's start with those points of friction, those moments of tragedy. These are the stories that really demand our immediate attention.
In Nigeria's Edo state, this number, 8, represents the number of security officers who tragically lost their lives today.
And the details here are they're devastating. So what happened was gunmen ambushed a convoy from the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. They were escorting some Chinese workers from a local cement company. Now, the good news is 4 of the workers were rescued, but the human cost, it's just immense.
This happened at about 10 p.m. This is a vehicle of Civil Defense Corps. A vehicle of Civil Defense Corps. They escaped ambush from unknown gunmen at about 10 p.m. and they were able to escape to Bois cement plant where they couldn't proceed, so they were rushed to the hospital from here. You could see the marks of bullets. You could see the marks of bullets in the vehicle. You could see the marks of bullets in the vehicle.
Tragedy is unfolding. The number 60, well, that's the rising death toll from a ferry disaster in Niger State. This happened when a ferry just overloaded with more than 100 people hit a hidden tree stump and just flipped. It capsized. Right now, searches for the missing are still going on, so the true scale of this horrible loss is, well, it's still emerging.
And this brings us right back to that stark contrast we started with. The hunger crisis in the Northeast is getting worse, and it's happening for a direct reason: cuts in humanitarian aid. The closure of 150 nutrition centers has just created this catastrophic gap in support, putting hundreds of thousands of children in immediate, life-threatening peril.
And of course, these pressures aren't just in one region. Today is also seeing aid flowing into Afghanistan after a major earthquake, and you have ongoing anti-immigration protests happening in the UK. And at the same time, another public health emergency is hitting Nigeria, this time a deadly cholera outbreak. It's like a map of simultaneous urgent needs stretching all across.
News of a cholera outbreak in Zamfara, northwest Nigeria. At least 8 deaths reported, over 200 infections. And this is in an area with already limited healthcare access. It just compounds the difficulties. Then, shifting slightly but still critical, the humanitarian side. There's a worsening hunger crisis in northeast Nigeria. It's quite alarming. Aid cuts have forced the closure of 150 nutrition centers, just in Borno State. And that puts something like 600,000 children at severe risk of death from malnutrition. 600,000.
It's a staggering number, and it highlights this terrible intersection of global funding shortfalls and massive local need. You mentioned the U.S. pledge, $32.5 million. And that sounds like a lot, but it's just a fraction, really, of what's needed. The UN, other partners, they're facing huge funding gaps for Nigeria this year, maybe 60, 70%. So when these centers close, it's not abstract. It means life-saving therapeutic feeding stops for kids who are severely malnourished. Without it, well, mortality rates can just skyrocket. It's urgent.
It really puts things in perspective. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. The economic front, it's kind of a mixed bag here. First, the Dangote refinery. Its gasoline unit is going to be offline for
Across the globe. Okay, now, let's pull back a bit from these on-the-ground crises and take a look at the bigger, more strategic moves being made by nations on the world stage.
All right, shifting gears to the diplomatic stage, you can almost see a current building around the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
I mean, look at the moves. You've got Australia pushing to formally recognize Palestine at the UN. At the same time, Finland is throwing its weight behind a two-state solution. And then you have the UN itself restarting high-level talks. When you put it all together, it really looks like a clear pattern of international pressure is starting to form. And here, this is a perfect example of what people call the fog of war in modern conflicts. The United States says an airstrike killed 11 gang members on a vessel, but Venezuelan authorities, they flatly deny it. So as observers, we're left with two completely opposing stories. It's a really good reminder that the first report is often just one side of a very complex event.
And the strategic moves are happening everywhere. India's Prime Minister Modi is skipping the UN General Assembly this year, which is a pretty notable absence, maybe suggesting a shift in priorities. Meanwhile, China just projected its military strength with a massive parade. And over in South Korea, they're looking to join a major trade pact as a way to counter global tariffs. It's like every nation is constantly adjusting its position on the board.
So what's behind all these political moves? Well, you've got powerful economic forces, of course. Let's take a look at the flow of fuel and finance that's really shaping our day. So today, the price of Brent crude oil is high. It's staying above $65 a barrel. And a big reason for that is China has been boosting its reserves, which is driving up demand. But analysts are warning that oversupply issues could actually push that price right back down pretty soon. It really is a delicate balancing act.
And speaking of fuel, there is a huge development in Nigeria. The massive Dangote refinery has had to shut down its entire gasoline unit because of technical problems. And this is not a quick fix. We're talking it could be offline for 2 to 3 months, which really risks tightening fuel supplies for the whole country.
But even as one piece of the energy puzzle goes offline, another deal gets signed. Nigeria has just inked a new production-sharing contract for 2 deep-water oil blocks with major players Total Energies and Sept. It's just a perfect example of how economic instability and big opportunity can exist side by side, often in the very same places dealing with the crisis we saw earlier. Okay, so let's zoom out again from crises in economics to get a more complete picture. Because this day was also filled with moments of art and grief and just collective wonder, things that connect us all as people. A really deeply personal moment resonated all across Nigeria's vibrant film industry, Nollywood. The well-known actor Abraham Chadha shared this message, mourning the loss of his son. It's a message of grief that's just universally understood, you know? It cuts through all the other noise of the day. And from a moment of sorrow, we go to one of celebration. This number, 8 kilometers, that is the planned length of the red carpet for the upcoming Best of Nollywood Awards in Lagos. It's just a wonderfully bold, record-breaking detail that says so much about the spirit and the ambition of that industry. And this brings us full circle, right back to where we started. More than 7 billion people, that's the vast majority of all of us, will get a chance to see the upcoming blood moon total lunar eclipse. It is a profound, shared spectacle that connects us across every continent and every culture.
And finally, of course, there's the global stadium. From a World Cup qualifier in Europe to Formula One in Italy and the kickoff of the NFL season in the US, all these games provide a common language, a shared source of passion for millions and millions of people around the world.
So, there you have it. We've seen it all in just 24 hours, right? Crisis, diplomacy, huge economic shifts, and these incredibly human moments that connect us all. It leaves us with a pretty powerful question, doesn't it? If this is the story of just one single day, this complex, contradictory, and totally interconnected story, what are our headlines really telling us about who we are? And maybe more importantly, where we're all headed?